Multiplication of fractions. Today is to understand the concept of multiplication of fractions and to learn how to multiply fractions. When you see a fraction times a fraction, it really means a fraction of the fraction. So we're going to start using the word of for the multiplication sign. When multiplying a fraction by a fraction, the product is always, so let's think about this for a minute. When you multiply a whole number times a whole number, like 5 times 5, you get 25. But because you're taking something smaller than 1 and timesing it by something smaller than 1, the product is always smaller. So I want you to write that. Multiply fractions, and I want you to write when multiplying a fraction by a fraction, the product is always smaller. It's like taking a piece of something. Like I have a piece of yarn, and I want to take a piece of it, so I want to take this much of it. It's smaller than what I started with. So let's look at what I mean by this. So if you have 1/4 of 1/2, so I start with a half. So I'm going to get some bars here. If here's a whole, here's my half. So do we all agree that that's a half of it? So that's what we're going to look at, is the half. Oops. So we have a half. Now we need 1/4 of that half. So in order to do that, I need to cut this into 4 equal pieces. I'll do my best here. All right, so I have 4 equal pieces. Now, I want 1/4 of that. Well, 1/4 of that is this piece right here, which ends up being 1/8 of the whole thing. Well, let's look at another one. So this one says 1/2 of 4/8. So I need 4/8. So there's 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8. Now I need 1/2 of that. So if I cut that in half, I end up with a piece that's 1/4 big. So let's see what I'm doing. Has anyone figured it out? The rules go like this. You multiply the numerator by the numerator, and then you multiply the denominator by the denominator, and then simplify. So an example would be 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 5 is 15. Now I can simplify that. Divide by 3, divide by 3, and you get 1/5. Let's go back and look at the ones we just did. 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 8 is 16. That can get simplified by 4, and that gives me 1/4. So it does work. So let's do another one. 1 times 6 is 6. 2 times 7 is 14. What can go into 6 that can also go into 14? Well, it could be divided by 2 and by 2, and I'll get 3/7. So we know it works. Looking at this one, 4. As a fraction, a whole number 4 would be 4/1. So always make your whole numbers as a fraction over 1. We're going to go ahead because this is what I really want you to do today. It's really a shortcut, but we're not going to even call it a shortcut because I want you to always simplify before you multiply. So let's write that. What I mean by that is you can simplify any numerator to any denominator. So any top to any bottom. So as I go through, I look at 1 and 2. Can they be simplified? Nope, they already are. So now I look at this numerator to this denominator, 1 and 7. Can they be simplified? The answer is no. So now I look at 6 and 7. They cannot be simplified. But 6 and 2 can, this numerator to this denominator, if I divide them both by 2. Cancel, cancel. I'm left with 3, and now I'm left with 1. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 7 is 7. I get 3/7, and that's what I got right here when I multiplied and then simplified. But we're going to always simplify first. So let's look at this next one. 3 and 8. Nope. 3 and 1 is done. So I look at 4 and 1. So I have to look at 4 and 8. 4 can go into 4 once. 4 can go into 8 2 times. So now I multiply. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 1 is 2. And today we can leave them as mixed numbers. As improper fraction. You do not have to change this to 1 1/2. You can if you would like, but you don't have to. So in our little flip chart, I want you to write the word multiply. And I want you to write simplify and then multiply across. So let's look on this one. 8 over 21 times 3 over 12. What can go into 8 that can go into 21? What 2 can go into 8, but 2 can't go into 21. 3 can't. So let's look across. 8 and 12 both can have 2 go in. So let's do them both by 2, which would give me 8. Whoops. This, I'm sorry, should give me, if 2 goes in there, I should get 4 here. And 2 goes into 12, and I can get 6. I can notice that 2 and 6 can be simplified again, so let's do it again by 2, and I'd get 2. 2 goes into 6 3 times. Now let's go to this numerator. Well, this numerator and this denominator can be simplified because 3 can go into 3 once, and 3 goes into 3 once. So now when I multiply, I've got 2 times 1 is 2. 21 times 1 is 21. My answer is 2 over 21. You can begin your homework.